Today, I'm going to talk to you about how I set up my trial presentation case files to maximize speed. I originally wanted this to be a Monday quick tip, but I felt like it deserved a little bit more discussion than I normally give for a Monday quick tip. So I wanted to make sure everyone understood how I put a case file together to maximize speed of retrieval and agility when you're in the courtroom. A lot of that speed, a lot of that agility isn't just reflexes and being able to hit the keys fast. That's part of it, but a lot of it is set up and being able to quickly find things as long as you and the attorney are doing some communicating. So the core concept of speed for me in using trial presentation software, whether using OnCue or Trial Director, I'm going to use OnCue for today's example, but the concepts apply to both, is to minimize keystrokes. So I've been at certain trials where I see people that are on the other side, they're hot seaters, have PTXs, and each PTX has the prefix PTX, or their exhibits have the prefix EX space. And so anytime they want to pull up an exhibit, they can't just pull up the exhibit. They have to type in PTX and then the number, dash, and then the page, and then hit enter to pull it up. And I feel like those are a lot of extra keystrokes that you don't necessarily need, especially in state court here in Chicago, where most parties don't exchange a thumb drive of their exhibits. The only exhibits that you're going to have on your computer are your exhibits. So the PTX prefix is just unnecessary. You don't need it at all. So the idea is cut off all the redundant and unnecessary exhibit prefixes or suffixes and just get to the bare minimum of what you need to be able to navigate through your case file quickly. So let's take a look here on my computer. I have a folder of actual exhibits as they were presented to me by the client. And this is from an old case that was disposed of a very long time ago. And what they have is it's PTX, 3 digits for the numbers, a space, dash, space, and then the exhibit description. And I'm guessing it's either the description that is on the exhibit list or whatever the original file name was. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything except for the 3-digit number. And so one of the tools that I need to do that is a tool that I use. It's a piece of freeware. I can't vouch that it's completely safe. It's something that I've used without problems. If you're not sure, contact your IT professional whether you think you can download it. But it's called File Renamer Basic. And that's something that I use. And I'll pull that up now. We'll look at my computer. And so you see what the files used to be called. And now let's just maximize this. And we'll take a look at it. These are in my demo folder here, and I could see a preview of all the files, and it allows me to manipulate multiple files at a time. So if I have 1,000 exhibits, I don't have to go to each one, hit F2 to rename it, delete all the stuff I don't want, hit enter, and then go to the next one at F2 and delete it. I can do batch activities to all my exhibits. This can be a little bit scary, so the first time you do it, you might want to make a copy of everything first just so you don't mess up any originals. It's a pretty good practice even if you've done this a whole bunch of times. So the two tools that I want to use, and you can do a whole bunch of different tools. This is not a software tutorial on File Renamer Basic, but basically what I want to do is I want to remove the PTX prefix and everything after the number. So what I'll do is I'll use a find and replace, and I'll take PTX, and I will just leave in the replace field nothing, and then I can preview. Everything's pre-checked in this folder by default, so I'll preview what it looks like, and then I could see here's the new file name, what it's going to look like, and perfect. I have just the exhibit numbers. That's what I want. So I'll hit apply to do that. Now that I have that, it's updated with the new file names, and now it's 001 space dash space and a whole bunch of other stuff after that. So what I can do to remove everything that's after the actual exhibit number is then I can use this to delete, remove, insert, and I'm going to start from position 4. Position 1 is like before the first number, then 1, 2, 3, that's the 4th position, and I'm going to remove, I don't know how, sometimes the exhibit names get real long, so I'll just do the max of 255 characters. I'll preview it, and then I look down here, and I've got just the exhibit number, so I'll hit apply. Now, one other thing that I normally do is I check just to make sure that all the file extensions are .pdf and not .P, D, F, because that messes up some of the exhibit stamping that I might do, that I like to do in Adobe Acrobat versus in Trial Director, for example. So it looks like I'm all good here. So now my exhibits are ready. And I can open up Trial Director or OnCue. Right now I'm going to open up OnCue. And we'll close file renamer and I'll open up a new case and I'll put it in, I made a location in my desktop where I could put this, and I'll put it here and I'll call it speed on cue files. I usually use the case name space on cue file just so I know what it is. And now I've got an empty case shell. I'm going to go to my folder, hit Control A to select all the exhibits, and then just drag them in to OnCue. Now I have exhibits 1 through 85 that are using just for this example set. There were a lot more exhibits in that case, but I'm just using this as an example. And now when I'm ready to show any of these exhibits, I can come over to this jury screen, click on there just so it knows where I want the keystrokes to go, hit X1 to pull up exhibit 1. If I want to go to page 8 in that exhibit, I don't think there's a page 8. There is a page 8. So we've got all that, and I could pull everything up quickly. Exhibit 2, pull that up, that comes up right away. I'm not hitting PTX 002 enter. That's not that long if you think about it, but when you're jumping around quickly and the attorney wants something really fast, especially in cross, this is a nice way to be able to clear things up. Similarly, if you're going completely off script and you have no idea where that attorney wants to go, and you can clear the exhibit, and then all of a sudden they're like exhibit 3, you hit X3 and you're there. You don't need to have anything in a notebook, in a presentation folder. You don't have to have a barcode scanner ready or anything like that. You just pull it up by the exhibit number. And so really you're just listening for what is being said and you're transcribing it, kind of like the court reporter does, to give you the ultimate speed. Then the thing that I do, if then we do have an exhibit exchange with the other side, and in this case we were the plaintiffs, if I have DTXs that I need to work with, those, instead of being DTXs, I'll use file renamer basic to just take out the TX, so it's still D and the exhibit number. So even then, I'm still really quick. If I need to pull up any of their exhibits, I might not know what they are, but I could pull up D58 or whatever exhibit they have if we have exchanged those. So it allows me to move really, really quickly. And then I'll use other different kinds of prefixes. So if we're pulling up paper transcripts from a deponent, I'll put a T in front of that and then the deponent's name. So then if I need to go to like the transcript of John Smith, it'll be TJS, and that'll just be enter for the cover page of that deposition. And if I need to go to a certain page from there, then I could just type in the page number and hit enter, or if it's trial director, Control G and then hit the page number, enter. So you get to whatever page you want. So the idea is to minimize the number of keystrokes, so that way in the heat of battle, whatever you hear, you can just type in, oh, I heard 58, X58, enter if you're on cue. It allows me to just pull something up quickly so that I can get the next instruction that I need. It overall just speeds up the process quite a bit when you can eliminate those steps and don't have to worry about where are we in the outline quite so much, or where are we in the exhibit binder. You just, whatever the number they say, just type it in and bam, you're right there. So that for me is a critical way of being able to import some of these exhibit names. Now the next thing that you can then do on this is, now what I've done is, because I've deleted the descriptor part from the PDF file names, I no longer have that in OnCue. So what I'll need to do then is refer to the exhibit list, and from that exhibit list you can make an import file to then import all of the descriptions into the name field. So that way, as I'm going through, now right now I only have numbers, but if I have then done an import of converting an exhibit list Excel sheet into an import file, which takes a couple of steps, but once you've done it a couple times, you never really remember how to do it, but once you see the instructions again, it's real simple. And then you could see, you'll have all of the descriptions, which are then searchable in the find bar in OnCue. So that way if someone says, let's see the email from John Smith, maybe you can look up email or Smith, and hopefully by then you can kind of sort through all the hits that you get and find it that way if the attorney doesn't know the number. So shortening the number of keystrokes so that way your exhibit can get pulled up by just the exhibit number is step 1, and then step 2 is also having those exhibit descriptions also imported into your case file. And let me show you what that looks like by going up to another case. I'm going to show you guys just really quickly the last case that I worked on. It is technically, we went to verdict, but I do think that there are some I do think that there may be some appeals. I'm not completely sure about that. So we'll take a look at this case just for demonstrative purposes only. And so you can see I've done the same thing here. I have 1 through however many exhibits there were, and then I have all the names imported from the exhibit list. So that way if someone wants to know or see, do we have this in our exhibit list, I can do a quick find for them. Hopefully I'm not doing too much of that because I've got the exams to pay attention to. But if I need to do that, or if someone's like, hey, I want to use that email that they just used, and I don't know what exhibit number that would correspond to on our exhibit list, because maybe we haven't exchanged exhibit lists with the other side even, then I could do a quick find and try to figure out based on what I'm looking at that the other hot seater's putting up, what that might be if it's in our exhibit list. So different ways that I can speed things up and make retrieval seem less like a big task when it comes to surprises or being nimble in your trial presentation software. So I kind of went over everything relatively quickly, but those are the 2 main steps. I've made other videos on creating import files before, so I'll post links in the description, and I'll post a little bit of like a clickable button in the upper right hand corner for you guys if you want to go see that. But those are the 2 things that I use to make sure that I'm as fast as I can be with exhibits when I'm in trial presentation software. So let me know if you have any questions about that, or if you have other tips that you use in terms of the way you organize your stuff, in terms of just the base case file itself. I'd love to hear it and kind of trade some notes. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.